Well, hello again everybody, welcome back, and you might have seen me replacing the core in this lock a few days back. So now it's all working nicely. I thought we could really get round to giving it a proper refurb. So we need to clean up the shackle, get that polished up, and clean up the insides, because I don't know if you can see, some of that is still a bit rusty. Give it a coat of paint and clean everything else up. But the first thing I think we'll do is, as you can see, it's got a few marks on the end, because when I originally stripped this down it was quite tight in there. The core, or the brass, had actually got stuck in there with the rust. So what I'm going to do is take this into the other shed where I've got some sanding stuff, and actually sand this down and try and get rid of most of the marks on there and tidy up that end a bit, and we can keep them nice and flush then, and then we'll tidy up everything else, strip it down, see what needs cleaning and get on with it. So if you give me a minute and we'll go and do that. Right then, hopefully we're zoomed in enough. But we've got this sanding belt, which is actually designed for sharpening the lathe tools, but that means we have behind here a real nice solid steel plate and this jig on the front, so we can keep everything dead square, as you can see, so we can get that nice and flat on that edge. So we'll give this a quick little go, see what it goes like, but I'm probably going to work through different grits. We'll come back at the end, but we'll make a start now. So, turn it on. So, as you can hopefully see straight off, that end we've got nice and flush. Needs a fraction more on there, and that end we've made a bit of a start, but we'll get the rest out of there. So I'll get this finished off and then we'll start taking it apart and looking at the rest. Right, we've finished on there, and as we can see we've got quite a nice finish now all the way around, everything nice and flush, square, everything done. So the next job will be to take this apart and decide what we're doing with the rest. So we'll take the grub screw out, like so, and then this should all slide out. There we go. Got a bit of dust in there from the sanding, but not the end of the world, because we're clearing everything up. So we've got all the bits on the top and on the bottom, and what I'm going to do is get an elastic band, and then we'll get this core out. What I shall probably do is give this a good blowout with the airline before it goes back in, but if we stick that elastic band round there, that will hold the Bible onto the core and we don't have to worry about that. So we can see here we've got quite sharp edges, so we can just knock off the edges of those, just like so. Gives us a nice clean edge. So the next thing to do is, as we can see, some of these parts have got bits of rust on them. So we're going to give these a quick wipe over, a little bit of rub down. Same with the actual core itself. As you can see, even though it's brass, you can see the rust on there from where it was rusted inside the hardened body. So we'll give this a clean up so that it slips in and out nicely, and likewise with this needs a clean up. We can go around these edges as well. Just take that little sharp corner off. It feels better. I know you can't feel it there, but it does make a difference. So I'll probably get some wire brush on here, get some of this last paint off, likewise on here, scrape this off, get the rust off there, and then we'll come back and do a bit more. So I'll go and do that off camera, you don't need to see that really, and then I'll be back. Right, so we're getting there. We've been using wire brushes on the Dremel and some sandpaper, but we have most of these all cleaned up quite nicely now. So with a bit of lube in, everything should work quite nicely. Same with these, the locking poles, the shutter. Just need to get into that little crevice there, clean that up. The core isn't looking too bad, still needs a bit of a polish on the ends for when it goes back in. We can see where the corrosion was that I haven't been able to get off. I did give this a quick touch on the sanding belt, same as we did the ends, so got most of it off, but even these bits, they're just too ingrained into the brass. But we've got most of that cleaned up. The shackle, cleaned off most of the muck. We have got pitting in the finish on there. It does look like it's a chrome plated one. I don't know if you can actually see. I can get it to focus. Just there, right by my thumbnail. There's a few bits like that, but I think by the time I get this buffed up and polished up, they're not going to stand out too badly. So that should work. We've got a lot of the paint off here, that side's done, you can see the difference. So using the wire brush again and cleaned up a bit of the inside, try and get that corrosion out of there. We've got nice shiny ends anyway. So I shall carry on, get a bit more cleaned up, and then we'll have to sort out about getting some paint on there. Getting this put back together again with a bit of lube so that it all operates nice and smoothly. And I shall probably put some of my special waxes on the brass here to keep that in a better condition. But I'll get some more of this cleaned up and then we'll carry on. Right, so here we are, a little bit further down the line, and I've had a change of heart. I've been giving this a good going on the bench grinder with a Scotch-Brite wheel in it, and I think it looks quite nice in the steel, so I think we're going to leave that steel. I've actually polished up the ends while I was on there with the ends of the core, so we've actually got a mirror finish, as you can see. Actually see my beard. So I think that'll look quite nice in there, as you can see. And I've given the shackle a little bit more of a going over. It's not perfect, but a little bit more on there, and I think we'll have quite a nice looking padlock in the end. So I shall finish off polishing up and then we'll have a look. Right, so here we go, all polished up now, as you can see. I think the Mul-T-Lock logo actually stands out better on the steel than if it was painted black. we've got the mirror polished brass either end, as we can see. Cleaned up the shackle. It's not perfect, but not bad, but it all works like a dream now with that interactive core in it. So I've just given it a quick coat of wax just to make sure nothing goes rusty and the brass doesn't tarnish, but I'm quite pleased with the result. I think that's going to look quite nice sat on the shelf with all the others. Just give it another quick, get my fingerprints off. But there we go, the Mul-T-Lock all done and dusted. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.